me, Laurel Ann. As I've previously mentioned, I really wanted to make a video about my favorite books of the first half of the year, but obviously we're getting pretty late on that now. So what I thought I'd do is this. I'm going to start this video with a list of my favorite books that I read in the first half of 2019. And then on the end, I'm going to tag on the, what's it called? The end of the year tag, which was created by Ariel Bisset. Is that her name? Bisset? I don't know how to pronounce it. Bisset. Now you know what's going on. I'm just gonna start. So I chose this list of favorite books out of those that I read up until the end of June. There were 26 books to choose from. I wanted to limit myself to 5, so that's what I did. I also didn't include rereads. There was only one of those, it was Pride and Prejudice, so that's not included. It's actually pretty interesting because I was looking back at the notes that I had taken on the idea for this video back in like July, and some of the books that I wrote down as my favorites then are different at this point in the year. As I've had a few months to let all of these books kind of settle in my brain, my feelings on them have changed, or the ones that stuck out to me aren't necessarily the ones that stick out now. It also could just be mood-wise what I'm feeling at this moment instead of what I felt in July. I don't know, but I just thought that was an interesting little tidbit. Anyway, I'm rambling a lot here. I'm just gonna begin with the books. They are just in the order in which I read them. They're not in order of preference or anything like that. The first book I want to talk about is English Animals by Laura Kaye. I read this really early on in the year. It's actually sort of a sleeper favorite. Like when I first was thinking about my favorites, this didn't really jump out to me. The more I thought about the 26 books, this one just like really kept looping around to me as one that just really had a lot of things that ticked boxes of mine. English Animals is about a Slovak girl named Mirka who is living in London and gets a job through a nannying agency with this couple in the English countryside. When she arrives, she finds that they do not have any children, but they instead want her to help with a few businesses that they run revolving around their estate. So they run like shooting parties. They have sort of an event venue going on, and the husband, Richard, also has his own taxidermy business. So from there, the story follows Mirka as she learns the trade of taxidermy and also her relationship with this couple and how it changes, and it's all set against the backdrop of this English estate. I love this book so much. I think the writing is really clever. It's very funny. It's told from the point of view of Mirka, and she is a very astute observer. She also has a great sense of humor, and she has a really great perspective on Englishness and England. The book takes some unexpected turns. There's also a queer romance. It's just really good. Like, it has the right kind of balance of having some darkness in it. Just exactly what I think a domestic drama should be. This is a book that does not have nearly enough hype around it. It has fewer than 1,000 ratings on Goodreads. So if even just one person goes and picks up this book, I would be really happy because I think it's worth reading. It also has a fox on the cover. The next book I want to talk about is Ghost Wall by Sarah Moss. This is about a young girl named Sylvie and her family as they join an anthropology course that is trying to recreate life as it might have been in Iron Age England, or not England, I guess Britain. And her father is completely obsessed with this sort of period of time and the way things used to be and how he believes they maybe should still be. Her father is a very narrow-minded and violent man, and the story goes to some pretty dark places, but it's all set outdoors during long summer days in Northumberland. It's a story of abuse that's told in such a nuanced and disturbing way. The conclusion is really satisfying. The writing is really gorgeous and immersive. This is my second book by Sarah Moss that I've read, and she is quickly becoming a favorite writer because I think she's just completely brilliant. Next, we have, surprise, surprise, Normal People by Sally Rooney. I've talked about this on my channel a few times now, so I'm not going to go into it too much, but it's the story of Connell and Marianne and it's told from their alternating perspectives as they go from high school and through college. This is a book that's about class and about capitalism and communication and the gaps in the way we communicate. It's a book that works on so many levels because you can totally read it as just a love story, an entertaining beach read, something you pick up at the airport, but if you pause to think about it, there's just so much going on, and I think every sentence is really deliberately crafted and everything is placed where it needs to be. Anyway, that's not the most eloquent way to speak about this book, but it's just really good, and I know it's really cliche to talk about Sally Rooney right now, but I love her, so there we go. Another favorite book of mine from this year is Lanny by Max Porter. I'm not even going to talk about how devastated I am that this didn't make the Booker shortlist, because when it was longlisted, I was positive that it was going to win. Like, if I was a betting woman, I would have put money on it, but I guess we can't have nice things. Lanny is the story of a family in an English village. I guess ex-urban England is quite a theme in my reading this year, or at least in my faves. It's the story of his family and the village as a whole after he goes missing one day. This is a story beautifully and creatively rendered about the impact that we can have on each other's lives. It's an incredibly emotional book. It's almost as if he doesn't use words, he just somehow put feelings on the page. That's how I feel. I don't know. It's definitely one of the best books that's come out this year. And then this last one, honestly, it kind of surprises me that this is what I'm putting on this list, and I'm still kind of conflicted about it because there are a lot of books that I've read this year that are more hard-hitting or more, even dare I say it, meritorious. But there is something to be said, I think, about the metric of just pure enjoyment sometimes. So anyway, stop with the disclaimers. This book is Daisy Jones and the Six. This is the story of a fictional 70s rock band called Daisy Jones and the Six, and it chronicles the tale of their skyrocketing popularity and then their breakup. It definitely leans heavily on the story of Fleetwood Mac, and I love Fleetwood Mac. It's all told through interviews with the different characters. I think a lot of people have read this and a lot of people have heard this reviewed, so I'm not going to say too much, but I think it just is a really enjoyable read with a little something extra. I do think that this says really interesting things about how we remember, and for the most part the characters are all just like really distinctly drawn and very lovable as well. Again, I cried at the end, which just always helps, you know, like if I cry at the end of the book, I probably liked it a lot. Okay, I hope that any of that footage was usable because I feel like it wasn't very coherent, but you know. So now I'm going to answer the questions of the end of the year tag to sort of bring us from the middle of the year to the end. Can we believe it? It's nearly October. What? It's like a law that I have to say that every time I mention what month it is. The first question is, are there any books you started this year that you need to finish? I almost don't want to say this because I don't want anyone to be mad at me, but The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. I read probably half of this in like maybe April or May, and then I stopped. It's not because I don't like it. I'm definitely going to finish it. It's just that I was listening to the audiobook, and I know that the audiobook narrator, it's Bonnie Turpin. She has like tons of awards. She's very well loved and respected, but I just could not get on with her narration. She made all of the protagonist's white friends sound like cartoon of Valley Girls, and that just really annoyed me and I didn't like it, so I stopped. I probably will definitely finish this before the end of the year. See if I eat my words later on, but there we go. Do you have an autumnal book to transition into the end of the year? Well, yes, I do. I'm planning to finally read Mary Shelley's Frankenstein next month because it's spooky and it's a classic and it's also Victober appropriate. I'm really, really excited to read this. Is there a new release you're still waiting for? I don't really keep up with new releases that much. So no. What are 3 books you want to read before the end of the year? That's a great question. This is Max Porter's first book, Grief is a Thing with Feathers, which is about a father and his 2 sons dealing with the death of the wife/mother. I think it's written partially in verse. I don't know if you can see that. Since I liked Lanny so much, I think I will probably like this one as well. I also want to read Winter by Ali Smith. I read Autumn, I think last autumn, and I meant to read Winter like right after that, but then I didn't, and then I felt like I had to read it in winter, so hopefully read that in December. And I also plan to reread Little Women. It's just such a Christmassy book for me. It's an old favorite, and also the Greta Gerwig movie is coming out, which I want to be a movie that I will love. I am a little bit scared, but whatever, we'll see. And oh, I also need to read The Dragon Republic, which is the sequel to The Poppy War. This is a book that I have had on hold at the library. I'm number 2 in line, but the same person has had it since the day it hit shelves, and it is due. It is far overdue, and I just need the book in my hands. I want to read it. I want to know what happens. Christy put up like a whole reading vlog of it, and it just, I want it. That was 4 books. Is there a book you think could still shock you and to become your favorite book of the year? I mean, yes, I fully believe that every book I read could become a new favorite, but to be specific, I still haven't read The Testaments, and I'm really looking forward to it. I know that the reception has been mixed, but Margaret Atwood is one of my very favorite writers. She wrote one of my like top 3 books of all time, and I just trust her to be able to blow my mind. So hopefully I'm not disappointed by that one. I'm very confident that that's going to be in my list at the end of the year. If I ever make one, it'll probably be next April at this rate, by the time I talk about my favorite books of 2018. But anyway, we'll see. 2019 is 2019. What the fuck is wrong with me? And the last question of this tag is, have you already started making reading plans for next year? I hadn't until I read this question. I don't really plan to set a number goal because this was the first year that I didn't do that, and I read more books than I ever did when I did do that. I don't know if that's a cause and effect relationship or what, but I'm perfectly happy to just read the number that I read. But this question did get me thinking, and what I do want to do next year is do more rereading. That was such a big part of my reading habits when I was younger. But now that I'm older, you know, I kind of had this mindset of like, ooh, there are only so many books I can read before I die, and I feel like I can't waste time rereading things because that's time that I won't be using reading something new. But that's silly, and there's so much joy that can be found in rereading, and I think it can be extremely intellectually stimulating. So I think if I make it into some kind of goal and gamify it, then I will not only feel okay with rereading books, but I'll feel really great about rereading books. My thought right now is that I'm going to try to reread 1 book every quarter. So that's 4, because that's how math works. I'm really excited for that. I can't wait to pick the books that I'm going to reread. Oh, okay. That's all I have for this tag. Thanks for sitting through this. If you have, goodbye. I feel like I say this at the end of recording every video, but like, what just happened? What did I, oh God, okay.